All right, film geeks, today's episode is all about Love Again, the movie starring Nick Jonas's wife and the dude from Outlander, plus Celine Dion. Let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of All Right, Let's Talk About It. My name is Savannah. I am your host. I do film reviews and film industry commentary. Happy Cinco de Mayo, y'all. I just realized that I haven't the slightest idea what Cinco de Mayo is actually for, like what it's celebrated for. I think I was under the impression for the longest time that it's like the Mexican Independence Day. I'm not entirely sure. So if you are Mexican, Mexican American of Mexican descent, and please educate me in a comment section somewhere. I would love to know because my understanding, as a red-blooded American is, this is the day where Americans, eat tacos, drink beer, and get drunk. And I live in New Orleans, so there's always a reason to get drunk for whatever. And I think Jazz Fest is also still going on this weekend. So yeah, a lot of touristy things happening. That's just the way things go. We're Americans, any reason to celebrate and celebrate big, we're going to do it. That's just how things go. I remember actually doing a TikTok about a year or so ago. Yeah, it had to have been about a year ago because it was around St. Patrick's Day. And there was a guy from Ireland asking why Americans do St. Patrick's Day bigger than people in Ireland. Well, the traditions associated with St. Patrick's Day in the United States are very much American. The first St. Patrick's Day on record was actually in what is now St. Augustine, Florida. But it's just, American culture to just celebrate things and celebrate big. I've actually heard from British creators how much they love the way we do Halloween because we do Halloween pretty big. It's a big deal. Costumes, the works, parties, it's a whole festival wherever you are. And then, being in New Orleans, which is all about celebration, is part of the culture. Mardi Gras, Halloween, 4th of July, St. Patrick's Day is a big deal here. Even, the holidays kind of around it that, you may not honor so much if you're not Catholic. So, Italian American Heritage Month. So, places up north might, dig into that a little bit deeper. Catholic places, Joseph's Day, stuff like that. So if you are of Mexican American descent, of some kind of Mexican, let me know what this is about and what this means to you, how your family celebrates, and why you love the holiday. It'd be nice to know something other than, hey, let's eat tacos and get drunk. To each their own, though. If that's what you look forward to doing, I love it for you. Just be safe. So we're talking about Love Again today. I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm not going to keep y'all super long. There's not a whole lot to say about this. So instead of seeing Guardians of the Galaxy like the rest of the country, I saw Love Again, which is a rom-com directed by James Strouse, stars Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Nick Jonas's wife, Sam Heughan from Outlander, and Celine Dion, who is Celine Dion. And yeah, I think this is probably the first real romantic comedy that I've seen. I think the last one I saw was the one with George Clooney and Julia Roberts last, November or October, one of those two, called Tickets to Paradise, where they played, two divorcees and they're, hopping on a plane to Bali to celebrate their daughter's wedding, who just decided to take a post-graduation trip to, I think it was Indonesia, Bali, somewhere around there. I don't know not much about the geography of that area, so please don't come at me. But she decided to take a trip, met someone, fell in love, decided to get married, and it was a cute little comedy. Something that I think only Julia Roberts and George Clooney could have pulled off. Something about their experience and the way they work a scene and just something only they could do. I don't know how else to make it make sense, but it was a cute little movie. I loved it, enjoyed it. This is a little bit different. Sam Heughan is from Outlander. I've never seen an episode. I've heard of it. I've seen pictures. I know girls go crazy over him. He's very good looking. He's got the accent. And then the only thing I've ever known about Priyanka Chopra Jonas is that she's Nick Jonas's wife. That's it. I don't know anything else about her. From what I've been able to look up is I guess she was very big in Bollywood. I don't know much about Bollywood either. I probably should. I only know, I think, just the basics, enough to kind of explain to someone what Bollywood is, but don't ask me the name of a Bollywood movie. I couldn't tell you. There's actually no reason for me not to. I probably should dig a little bit deeper into that. As beautiful as the Indian culture is and the way it's displayed on film, the extravagance of it all is definitely something that I would be into. So I don't even know why I've never dipped my toes into the Bollywood world. But that's it. That's all I know about Nick Jonas's wife. I'm just kind of looking at her page right now on Rotten Tomatoes. She's older than me. And Nick Jonas is younger than me. I'm pretty sure no, he's younger than me. Because this is what I remember about Nick Jonas because, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I love the Jonas Brothers, and they came out with that album. They're like such a huge fan. I'm like, whatever. Come back to me when you want to talk about the year 3000. Okay, when you want to talk about Mandy and that whole "It's About Time" album. Like, shut up and sit down. You're young. You just got here. But yeah, I just remember when they came out with that album and they were kind of new on the scene, but no one outside of Radio Disney and Hannah Montana fans really knew who they were. And they had, Nick Jonas was in a relationship with Miley Cyrus for a little while. Then he was in a relationship with Selena Gomez. And that was the, love triangle of the kind of Disney generation. Every couple of years, there's a Disney triangle that just, works its way through the gossip channels. But we're not talking about all that. Honestly, talking about all of that would be far more interesting than talking about Love Again. This movie was just not good. I enjoyed it. Just because the movie is bad doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it. There are plenty of movies that are just absolutely awful and god terrible, but they entertain me to a degree. This was kind of that. So what is this about? This is about Mira Ray. Mira Ray just lost her boyfriend whom she is in love with. Apparently he was about to propose to her in a tragic accident. He was hit by a car, a drunk driver, right in front of her. As she's sitting in a coffee shop, drawing, and he says goodbye, walks to the street and gets hit by a car. 2 years later, she is still grieving and dealing with the loss and finally decides to move back to the city with her sister and start to, move forward with her life and step out of that cloud of grief. But she's still kind of in it. So she still has his old phone number. So she decides, just to talk to him and grieve and share a bit of her life with him and how she's feeling. And so she starts texting this old number, not realizing that that old number has been recycled and been given away. Enters Rob Burns, who is a writer for a newspaper. He's a music critic, and he has her old telephone. Well, no, let me back up. He gets a new work phone, and that work phone happens to be, John, the dead boyfriend's number, and he's receiving these texts. You can kind of get an idea as to where this is going. It's pretty predictable. So Rob Burns is also dealing with his own relationship loss. He was engaged to a woman, and she dumped him a week before their wedding. And when we first meet him, he's waking up and he's late for work and he's checking Instagram and sees that his ex is in a new relationship. So clearly this is a man whose life is just not together. He's not with it. He's not focused. He's trying to find reasons to keep moving forward, but he's kind of lost hope. And Priyanka Chopra Jonas's character, Mira Ray, is finding hope, trying to figure out what life looks like without her boyfriend, trying to figure out what love looks like if he's not in the picture. We get a cute little cameo from Nick Jonas where, he's playing a blind Bumble date and he's a total douche nugget. Stereotypical, personal trainer who has absolutely no brains. He's all muscle, no brains, just very stereotypical. And that kind of I rolled my eyes at that. It's like, oh gosh, really? Are we not past this? Personal trainer with no brain in his head, just likes to do push-ups and he's all about sex. Like it's so cliche and so boring. I don't even know where to start with this movie. So Mira Ray, Rob Burns, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Sam Heughan. As far as acting goes, they did okay. I think the downfall here is definitely the writing. It was just not written very well. But unfortunately for our director, he also wrote it. Let's see what I can find out about him here on Rotten Tomatoes. I live on Rotten Tomatoes, y'all. You don't even know. So, Lonesome Jim with he was a screenwriter for Lonesome Jim with Casey Affleck. Bro, what's wrong with you? He was also one of the screenwriters for New York, I Love You. I love that movie. Apparently critics didn't, but I love that movie. Grace is Gone. He was a director and a writer, director and screenwriter for The Winning Season, director and screenwriter for People, Places, Things. The Haulers. He was a screenwriter and executive producer, a director and screenwriter for the incredible Jessica James. I don't know much about that movie, but it came out in 2017. And then after 2017, we have Love Again with this movie, this thing we're talking about today. So it's a cheese fest. It's absolutely cheesy, very cliche, predictable. It's what you expect, I think, from a rom-com minus the comedy. The comedy in this movie really comes from the supporting cast. Rob's co-workers, hilarious. You know, one of them is kind of your stereotypical gay. I swear, there has to be at least one gay dude in these rom-com movies, or else, so for whatever reason, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why we have to like fill quotas anymore. Why can't we just be normal and natural? Sometimes there's a gay best friend, sometimes there isn't. But he was probably one of the funniest things about the whole movie. It probably him and another coworker, can't even remember their names. And then Mira's sister Susie was hilarious. She's wonderful. So the supporting cast really makes this film. Mira and Rob are kind of cliche, cheesy, and just a little boring. I didn't really buy the relationship. I mean, it's just kind of predictable and nonsensical. He falls in love with this girl he's never met based on text, and he decides he wants to meet her based on a clue that she left in one of her texts, and not an intentional clue, but it was a line from an opera that she enjoyed with her dead boyfriend. And so he decides, and it just so happens the opera is playing in town, and so he decides he's going to go to every single show until he sees her. And then he sees her, and it's love at first sight, and she's wearing this beautiful yellow dress, and it's kind of cute, but it's one of those the here's the thing. This is probably one of my favorite moments from the movie, because it took a cliche, a metaphor, and it made it real. The whole, there was no one else in the room. Time stopped. No one else existed. It was just me and you in this moment, and everything else was silent. It really kind of took that kind of cliche, something you hear about in music, and manifested it in a sense. And they're having this moment together where they're talking, and it's cheesy and it's awkward, and he's nervous, stumbling because she's so beautiful, and he's like, it's her, she's wonderful, and she has no idea who he is. All she knows is that he's looking at me like I'm beautiful, and he's kind of cute, and he's wearing sneakers and I'm wearing sneakers, and we should hang out sometime, and yada yada yada, let's exchange numbers. And then all of a sudden, awkwardly, she runs into a couple, and then there's sound, and then there's people. And we remember that they're not the only two people in the room. I think that was the one cinematic moment from this movie that I truly enjoyed. Everything else was just super cliche. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. So yeah, I mean, it's just typical. It's nothing special. It's nothing to write home about. It's not very good, but it really does cater to a very specific audience. I think if you're the type of girl to sit down and watch entire Hallmark movies on purpose, I am not that person. Clearly, you can hear from the sound of my voice. My best friend, however, is definitely that person. She is the person to sit and watch Hallmark movies and enjoy them and then tell me how good they are. And I'm like, you're lying. And I talked about this on TikTok last night. There was a movie. I couldn't remember the name of the movie. I was like, it was about some girl in a coffee shop. It's called Coffee Shop. And this was years ago. This had to have been maybe 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. And she was so convinced that this was like such a good movie and that I would like it. And I'm like, do you not know me? We've known each other since 2016 at this point. There's no reason for you to be so ignorant. You know what kind of movies I like. I'm not going to watch this, but she loves it. And being the best friend, I'm going to, entertain her, so to speak. And I'm going to watch this movie because she loves it. And that's all that matters. If she loves it, I'm going to love it for her. I did not love it for her. I was so mad at her after that. Like, you made me sit through this. This is terrible. This is so bad. And she's just laughing at me like, it's so good. Like, no, that was so cheesy and unrealistic. Like, she's living in this nice swanky apartment, working in a coffee shop. How does she even afford this? This is more unrealistic than Friends. Like, I just went off, and and we still laugh about it. I still bring it up. Like, remember that one time you made me watch that movie? Yeah, you owe me for that. This is the type of movie that she would love. Just cheesy, unrealistic, fluffy, and hopeless romantic kind of movie. I'm more of the invitation and beautiful disaster kind of girl. If they could get those movies right, I'm just asking for something simple, just get it right. I just need the proper level of toxicity in my fictional men. She would prefer no toxicity. She wants them to be just sparkling and perfect with a little couple of little flaws that we can forgive by the end of the movie. Because in true fashion, they meet, they fall in love, they have a couple of dates, they sleep together. She finds out that, hey, he's the guy that's been reading all of my texts to my ex-boyfriend. And she's like, how could you lie to me? This is so sad. And then, she's like, I'm not gonna be with him. Then we get this sad little montage of, sadness here and there, and it's so cheesy. And but he's a writer for the Chronicle, and he decides to, use the article that he's working on because he's supposed to be working on this music art critique of Celine Dion, who is in the movie. She helped executive produces whatever you want to call it. And her music is, strung throughout this movie. Honestly, it's basically does she have new music coming out or something? Is she doing a resurgence, kind of trying to revive her career? I don't even know what's going on with Celine Dion. All I know is that every so often her music trends on TikTok. Trends on TikTok. That's it. That's all I know. And a couple of her songs here and there because she's iconic. I think Celine Dion is kind of a core memory for every generation since she started really making music. But he's supposed to be doing this music critique of her first American tour in over a decade, and decides to use that column to reach out to her and say, I didn't know what love was, and now I know what love is, and I'd lost hope, and you helped me feel the music again. And oh gosh, like, stab me in the eyeball with a spoon. Like, really? Okay, this is kind of cute, but Kate Hudson did it better in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I miss those kinds of rom-coms. I miss those so much. But anyways, we can talk about that another time. So Celine Dion in this movie, let's talk about that for a hot second. Celine Dion is not bad. She's actually a good actress. I've actually never heard her speaking voice before this. I've only heard her sing. I knew she was from, Montreal, French Canadian, but I'd never heard that her accent. That accent is so pretty, by the way. I don't know if you've ever heard like a French Canadian accent. It's almost, I don't want to say watered down French accent, but it's something, it's a little more subtle and it's softer, and it's very airy, and it's sweet, and it's like a dopamine hit. There's something about that accent that's just so pretty and soft. I mean, the French accent, I think, is beautiful no matter what. So I'm down here in, Louisiana, not that far from Acadiana, which is to the west of me. So it's not that uncommon to hear Cajun French here and there. And then that Cajun accent, which is kind of like an offshoot of all of that. It's beautiful. It's sweet. It's sing-songy. But there's something about that French Canadian accent that's just so soft. And she has such a beautiful voice and such a commanding presence. And she's kind of funny in this, and she's very much herself. I think when actors play themselves in movies, they tend to trip up the most. But she did a really good job. Tom Brady in 80 for Brady did such a good job playing himself. But I also think at that time he was going through a lot. And it really just kind of showed on screen. But she was one of the highlights of this movie for me. That little cinematic moment of, time stops and the room is empty. That was good for me. The Celine Dion music throughout this was such a sing-along for me. It was great. I mean, you can't help it but just like belt it out in the middle of the theater. I mean, what are you supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What do you expect from me? Of course I'm going to sing it out at the top of my lungs. Duh. It's a Celine Dion song. What am I like? I feel like it's expected, welcomed, and encouraged. So her music is very much the soundtrack here. And she kind of plays a wise, sage character here for our buddy Rob, because, he's tasked with interviewing her and, critiquing this tour or whatever and getting people excited about it. And she's like, you're such a little boy. When you become a man, come back. He's like, I'm 35. But she notices that he's kind of lacking something. He doesn't quite understand her music because he doesn't really know what love is. And she kind of helps him kind of figure it out. He confides in her about these texts he's been getting, and she's like, you got to meet her. You got to do it. You got to go for it. And really kind of walking him through that love process, and ends up becoming kind of a mediator between the two of them. And it's that part of it, I think, is kind of sweet, having that kind of support. But overall, the movie is just awful. and it's kind of cheesy, and it's not dull. It's not boring at all. It's just Sam and Priyanka have a hard time selling this. Really, if it weren't for the supporting cast, this would be a complete dud. The supporting cast really saves it. The two individuals who play Rob's coworkers, the young lady who plays Mira's sister, and then Celine Dion. They really are the heartbeat of this movie because there's nothing believable or lively about Sam or Rob. As good looking and beautiful as they are the part of the movie that really could have been thrown away, and we could have just had that supporting cast, and it would have been golden, absolutely golden. And I had people ask me about Nick Jonas. I don't know. They could have left that out. That was kind of pointless. I think that was just kind of a funny thing to see. It's like, ha ha ha, Nick Jonas. But I mean, that's just her husband. What that was, I think, the most believable part of the movie for me is her interacting with her husband. Clearly, they have a natural chemistry. She didn't really have that with Sam. But yeah, if you are someone who loves fluff and you love the hallmark cheesiness of a movie, if that's something that works for you, I think you'll enjoy it. I didn't. I mean, not to say I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I was entertained, but like this isn't for me, but it might be for you. So don't take this as me saying don't go seeing it, it's so bad. No, if you are the type of person who enjoys these kinds of movies, if this is something that, puts a smile on your face, you love it, you want to share with your girlfriends, this is for you. Knock yourself out, buy a ticket, especially if you're like me and you're like, I don't know if I want to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're really itching to see something else, something lighter, something not so heavy. Here you go. There's nothing, weighty about this at all. It's relatively short, just under 2 hours. And yeah, that's all she wrote. That's it. Yeah, it's an absolute cheese fest of a movie, something only my best friend would love, and then I would be mad at her for making me watch it. Want to advertise on this podcast? Check the episode description to see how you can be featured on the next episode. Thank you for listening to me rant and rave about yet again another movie. So that was Love Again, directed by James Strouse. It is an absolute cheese fest of a movie. Basically, they took a Hallmark movie and they put it on the big screen. It's cheesy, corny, cliche. It's all the things, but it's mainly kept alive by a semi-vibrant supporting cast, including Celine Dion. But our main leads are just... I mean, it's almost like they're just happy to be there. They're just kind of props. They're not even all that wonderful to write home about. Bless their hearts. So what's coming up? Y'all, when I say this month of May is incredibly dull, at least it is for me, I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sick of sequels and franchises because Fast X comes out this month, but I haven't seen anything after the first Fast and Furious. Nothing. So I'm trying to decide, okay, do I want to just see Fast X and then give y'all a review as someone who hasn't kept up to maybe help people who are thinking maybe, should I see this if I haven't? I don't know. I don't know what perspective to really go with that. I am going to see What's Love Got to Do with It next week. It's not the Tina Turner movie. At least I think that's what the movie's called. It's with Lily James, another rom-com. I love Lily James. So that's why I'm going to see that one. There is a movie with Jane Fonda that comes out next week, but I'm just not interested at all. Y'all, month of May is so boring. This is going to be such a difficult month. I'm going to have to find some things to watch. Hopefully some of the movies that I missed in the month of April will still be around. Yeah, but the month of June, y'all, the month of June is looking good. We got Boogeyman, The Blackening. I think the Indiana Jones movie comes out either June or July. Like, June is looking so much better. It's looking so much healthier. May is very anemic. I've never cared much for the month of May with respect to movies. April is always one of the best months. September, October, and July. My personal opinion. So that's what's happening. That's what's coming up. I'm trying to figure it out. I usually have my whole month planned. I usually have, up to, because I'm an AMC A-list person, so I can reserve up to 3 tickets. And I usually always have 3 tickets waiting. Right now, I only have 1. That's insane for me. That is the first time it's been like that since the beginning of the year. But here we are. So we're going to work our way through the month of May and hope for the best. Because, yeah, it's just, If you're itching for me to review something, let me know. Let me know either in a comment section or Yeah, either comment. I can't. My brain just blanked. I'm hungry and I need to do laundry. That's my problem. So either in comment section on Instagram or on YouTube, find me, or on Rumble. So this video will automatically load to Rumble when it loads to YouTube. So that is also an option if you are on that platform as well. Yes. So that was Love Again. Yeah, and I don't know what else to say. If you are in the city of New Orleans for Jazz Fest or whatever festivity, stay safe, mind your car, do not leave any valuables in it, okay? Because people like to, break into, steal, and carjack people for fun in this beautiful city. There's so much for tourists to do, but it seems like there's not a whole lot for young residents to do, which is partly one of the reasons why the crime here sucks so much. But that's a whole nother rant and rave. We're not even gonna get into that. But I love y'all very much. Happy Cinco de Mayo, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. And I will see you guys next week.